Hi, I'm Gloria Furman, and I'm at the Gospel Coalition for Women's Conference with my friend Jennie Allen. Jennie, tell us, who are you?
Yeah, who am I? Okay, I am a mom of 4 kids, 12 to age 4. I have a ministry in writing. My husband's a pastor at Austin Stone in Austin, Texas. So yeah,
Great.
that's some of the facts about me.
Fantastic. And your big passion is discipleship with women.
Yeah.
Tell me more about that.
Yeah, you know, I grew up in a Christian home, and I don't feel like I met God in a saving way until I was 17 years old. And so I'm a junior in high school, and I'm wrecked over my sin, and I see God, and He transforms me, and it is so, you know, it's so real and so radical. And I go home, and immediately I gather all these freshman girls. I'm a junior in high school, and I gather all these younger girls in a room and start teaching them the Bible. I don't know that I had many models for that. I just feel like that is what happened to me. When I truly met God, He just kind of came out and poured out on everybody around me. And so I spent the next decade and a half plus doing that and discipling women and pouring into their lives, and was blessed to get to attend seminary at DTS and learn more about God. And so I just felt this just weight of, I want to give this God away in whatever form He calls me to do it. And we were watching as the last few years, as I was teaching, some of the resources that I was using to teach were doing some just crazy supernatural things. I mean, it was just crossing barriers of unbeliever to believer. Like they were coming and seeing God. Unbelievers were. Believers were actually, that have been Christians for 15 years, were questioning if they were Christians, because they were tasting and seeing the grace of God in a way that they had not seen before. And so my husband said, Jennie, just take this to a writer's conference and see if anything about this is helpful. And so I took these little studies that I had made, and sure enough, they're out in the world now. The first one's called Stuck. And I think the thing I love about Stuck is it makes you have to be so honest, because we start with the problem of sin. We all are stuck. We all need God. And I think sometimes we're afraid to admit it, especially those of us that know how to put on the church persona in a way. We have mastered the art of looking like we love God and not actually loving Him most. And so I think what Stuck does is it lays a word on the table like discontentment. And whether you're a Christian for 35 years or you're a person who doesn't even know if they believe in God, both people feel discontent in some way. And so to level the playing field in a way and say, okay, we all are sinners. This isn't about our outward sin that everybody sees. This is about the stuff inside that God sees. And so Stuck is just this beautiful place to come together, consider how we need God, and then apply the gospel to these different areas where we all struggle. And so it's really fun to hear women that maybe have never been vulnerable with the stuff that nobody sees confess that they need God wherever they are, even if they've done Bible study for a long time. So I'm really passionate about that one. But I have a study coming out in October on the life of David as well, called Chase. So.
What a gift to the church. Thank you for your ministry.
Yeah.
You've also written a book about your own story and
Yeah.
anything.
I know. Yeah, Anything is a book about surrender. It started, my husband and I think we've been in ministry, and we were checking all the right boxes, and everyone looking into our lives again would have said, you guys are sold out. You guys are living this missional life. And I read the blog of a girl named Katie Davis from Uganda, who a lot of people now have heard of. Her book is called Kisses from Katie. But this was back before that book was ever out, and I was reading her blog one night late. I was on the bathroom floor trying to hide from my husband because he was asleep, and I just was enthralled with this girl that was just giving her life, her comfort, her approval of her parents, the approval of her friends, and she was living this life that God had called her to, and it was so beautiful. And I just felt like the glory of God was just pouring off the screen that night. I was so broken that I had been living this false view of the gospel. I had been living almost pretending that I loved him most by my actions. And inside, it was like that night I saw in my soul, and I was just so disturbed that what I actually loved more than God was people's approval. That I wanted people to like me more than I wanted God to be pleased with my life. And it just broke my heart, because I don't want to get to the end of my life and face Jesus. And then it occurs to me that he really was real, and this was all about his glory. This was all, every day of my life, every word I utter, every thought, every action was about the glory of God. And I had spent all of that, all of my life, trying to win the glory of a few people. I mean, that is not what I want my story to be. And not that I wouldn't still go to heaven. I mean, I don't believe that if I didn't get this right. I believe it is a saving grace of God and the blood of Jesus Christ that saved me, period. But I want that fact to change everything about me. And I believe that what the gift that was that night was that I got to kind of see the end of my life, and two stories play out. If I kept pursuing everybody's approval, or if I quit and said, God, I want your approval alone. And I feel like that was such a turning point for me. And so my husband and I prayed a prayer. It was so simple. And he was kind of in the same place. God, we will do anything. And in that, there were 1,000 deaths. I mean, it was just laying down every little piece of our life and saying, God, you have us. Like, you have us in new ways. You have us in ways that we previously had been protecting and controlling our life. You have everything about us. And it was scary. And so God began to show us our anythings. One of them was adoption. We have this precious little 4-year-old boy that we got a year ago from Rwanda to fill an empty bed in our house. And that has been probably one of the favorite stories of my life. And yet I was afraid to pursue it, you know. So it's beautiful to see how God writes these stories, and sometimes we miss them because we're afraid, you know.
What a grace-filled adventure.
Yes, it is.
That's so exciting, Jennie. Thank you so much for sharing.
Yeah.